This is a trade recap for Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Onward we go with one and done. This was 18, I believe. Yeah, 18. So still proceeding with that one, a little over halfway. And it'll be over before I know it. So with that being said, I'm trying to think of like anything weird that was going on. Kind of an oddball situation for us. Typically, those of us that are in, again, Pat Mitchell service strict trades, normally he's here with us every morning on screen shared for going over and developing the plan, the trading plan, and doing guidance and lessons during the morning session. He was actually out today traveling. So it's one of those things where he gave us a plan last night, and then it was on us to more or less decide on whether or not to trade this morning, and if so, again, doing it appropriately while he was unavailable. So, yeah, kind of a unique situation there. Don't get that one very often, but it's one of those things where just because he's not necessarily there live doesn't mean anything changes in terms of the rules or the way things are done. So, just gonna kind of walk through that real quick. But speaking about him, if you're looking for a high level coach and or mentor because you are either new to this or struggling, listen up. I am a student of this gentleman. This is Pat Mitchell. He is a professional day trader, though he originally was in blue collar work, and he has been in the markets for a little over a decade now. And he has built up a incredible process and knowledge base when it comes to learning how to day trade. He runs a service called Trick Trades. He has also put together inside of Trick Trades a program called SizeUp, and that's what I do. And it is a structured program for learning how to day trade. You start with a small cash account, and you basically build that up with your education, experience, and screen time to eventually hit different milestones and become a full-time professional day trader. So if you're interested in something like that, great person, probably one of the highest quality coaches when it comes to day trading out there. If not the highest quality, I don't personally know of any other coaches that I can stand by or say that about. And I've been around a few of them in terms of their services, and nothing even comes close to what Pat offers. So if you're looking for a high quality coach, I cannot recommend him enough. And like I said before, you can find him over at tricktrades.com. He also has a YouTube channel on his own where he posts recaps usually daily. If you want to check that out, you can get a little preview of the kind of information he offers and the quality. And that is just a very, very small amount of the knowledge he possesses. But yeah, definitely check him out. It will be worth your time and effort to go through some of his content and judge for yourself. And with that being said, let's get into the charts. Okay, getting into this morning, and here is the live recording. If you're new here, kind of lay of the land is daily charts here on the left. Kind of have them stretched out a bit just so I can see like moving averages and things a little bit closer. And because their short-term moving averages do move around. In the middle here, I have my 1 minute chart, and then on my right, I have my order execution. So pretty standard setup. These blue levels are the levels that Pat develops the night before and generally refines the morning of a trade session. And then they do not change. They're more or less set in stone. Only other addition here really is the fact that you'll see risk lines. These dashed red lines, those risk lines are a visual representation of the risk levels that I like to put on there. He doesn't do it on his. It's just as a personal thing that I like. Helps me keep track of things. So those are there, and this recording starts about a minute before the open. So as you can see, both are SPY and Qs are between these two levels, so in this channel. And we're just kind of waiting to see how things set up. SPY is playing in and around that lower level while Qs is coming up-ish towards that upper level, but still has some distance to go. So again, just getting my charts and everything kind of sorted out. That way we can just be ready to go. Make sure, again, order entries are all set up, things like that. Because, yeah, I mean, you got to kind of make sure you have everything more or less in place by the time the market opens and you're ready to go. Your mind's not scattered about looking at other things. You should be looking at the price action and stuff like that. Just like Pat tells us, you should be watching both charts, seeing exactly where things are going to open up, seeing which ones are, what's going to potentially first to trigger. Is there anything wonky about that? Getting ready to, again, just do some final checks like premium on the open to make sure there's nothing weird going on there. Because we do have a little bit of a gap down. So here we go. We're into the open, and now we just kind of sit and wait to see what potentially triggers first. SPY coming up, Q's coming up, SPY. I was seeing whether or not maybe we get a pullback into that level to potentially trigger along. But as we were coming up, decided to switch over to puts right there. And then just getting ready because you see they're both kind of coming up together. Got fairly close. So I decided to enter there with the first one. And then you just kind of wait to see what it wants to do. Q still has some room to come up. So far, not much in terms of a reaction. Q, as you can see, starts to react. It didn't come close enough to trigger into its level. And as it starts coming down, the interesting thing is, as you can see, again, it's a pretty decent size reaction on Qs, but SPY still kind of just holding there. So that started, again, a little piece of information. You kind of log it, keep an eye on it. The thing is, if Qs comes down and finds support somewhere in here, like these little trends, pre-market, or one of these ranges, and then bounces back up, if SPY hasn't really come down, that could easily just pop and start squeezing, which would more or less force me to close out the position. I'm kind of just being patient, watching, waiting. Got a little bit of a reaction there. Probably should have claimed that one, but wanted to hold on and then started moving up to a proper test of the level. So seeing that, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is the conditions of where you necessarily want to add, correct your average. So getting ready to do that. There's the add. So I'm just kind of looking and seeing making sure I'm not missing anything. Qs, again, like moving, like I said, would move up. If it moved up, SPY would move up as well. So I can reposition my chart just so I can see where everything is. And just waiting to see, again, what is it going to do here? Is Q is going to come up, smack into its level. Where's SPY going to be at that point? Am I going to get stopped out? Like, what does that stop out potentially look like? And being prepared to do so. So right now it's not really going candle over candle all that much. So just being patient. Again, just trying to figure out what it wants to do. So again, we're starting to come back down, and we're kind of did put in that first initial retracement. Pardon that. That was just a mistake I noticed I made on a different trade, a swing trade. So disregard what's going on right there. Took that in the wrong account, so I just had to move that over. So because it hasn't broken risk, it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, it's let it do its thing, sort itself out. Like I said, just be cautious, being cautious about that first kind of little pullback it did, seeing if it bounces right off of that and just continues higher. So in with two, just waiting to see if we get any follow through. As you can see, Q's is kind of rolling back over again. Why I hate when I'm doing the stupid moving the mouse around. This is where I was, and I see now, okay, now SPY is starting to kind of move up a little bit more. So keeping an eye on that, but it's not doing so with any kind of authority like squeeze or buying. And again, the volume there is a little low for the open, honestly. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not seeing a whole lot of conviction on it going higher. So I'm just being patient with it. And you get a little bit of whip and things like that. Q's kind of trying to figure out what it wants to do. It's got some short-term moving averages it's playing in and around with. It's kind of trapped between the 5 and the 9. So just keeping an eye on it to see if, again, we get that kind of breakdown on Q's, which would give the follow through on SPY, and it starts to do that. So it came in that, getting ready, just kind of letting it play around. Because SPY is now basically, if it comes down, it's got the 20 right below where it is now. It's kind of where that first reaction was. So it's just something, there is kind of that barrier that could potentially be in the way, or that support. But it has not, again, didn't trigger a stop out, so it shouldn't stop out. Maybe uncomfortable, maybe taking, again, longer to give a resolution in either direction, but that's fine. It's, again, one of those opportunities to really exercise patience and discipline. Recognize that it can squeeze up so you don't slam a bunch of size into it. Comes in, broke below the level, taps the level, little head bump there, and then starts selling off. They're now back below the 20. Take some size out right there. I was basically scratch at that point, which is fine. Took the size out, which covers, gives me a little bit more wiggle room for holding on to that second one and then just waiting it out. And then see if we can kind of step forward a little bit. As you can see, it's kind of interesting. Still in with that one, comes back up to test, and then it starts kind of try to figure out, and then all of a sudden, boom, starts popping back through, squeeze, oh, gonna get stopped out potentially. So it's coming right into that risk level, deciding again whether or not to average in there, and it wasn't really liking the fact that it was squeezing up. So then it gets basically sold right back off coming into Friday's highs. So it's one of those things where, I don't know, risk versus reward kind of calculus right there. Decide that it wasn't really worth it, because if it breaks over that, it's going to squeeze hard. So it's one of those things where just, again, let that one contract ride to either get stopped out on or come up. Ultimately, again, just doesn't have the juice to really push above. So just stepping forward a little bit so you can kind of see, and then just starts kind of just falling apart. Q starts falling apart, and yeah, ended up selling the second one, backed it up like right there. It's coming down, boom, out, made my money, all good. And then as you can see, it's like one of those things. I'll step forward here a little bit quicker. Just continues to come down level to level. It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, Pat's plan, even though he did it the night before, worked out again as expected. Again, if it doesn't stop you out, don't stop out. It may get uncomfortable, but that's part of this process. So here's what the trade entry looks like. As you can see on the rest of this morning chart, it's continued to come down. Like, again, so the trade on the short for SPY, beautiful. Yeah, it's one of those things where, and again, it's one of those, it's like cues didn't really come in close enough into a level per se to trigger off that early morning, but again, just continued to prove that sometimes you just take that first reaction or that first trigger. That is your one and only trade. You follow through on it in terms of in terms of resolution, does it stop you out, or does it follow through, come into, again, the areas that you would pay yourself, and that's it. And sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's very, very quick. But it's also one of those things where it's like you just got to take that, whatever the market gives you, because you have zero control over exactly what it's going to do. So all in all, good day. Got to exercise some patience and some discipline, not recognizing what was going on. So in terms of like adding too much size potentially just to get squeezed out, again, recognizing those factors where it's like, should I add, should I correct versus not, risk versus reward, all that stuff in real time, which is, again, it's all good, especially for me to practice that kind of stuff, because not every day we get to practice that. Or we'll go on with Pat's strategy and his guidance, we'll go on streaks where it's just like things just, especially if you're in a small account or you're growing a small account or you're doing something like one and done where you're limiting your size to where you kind of have to get out on first reactions and things like that. It gives what it gives, but it's very, very consistent. And yeah, it's like that first reaction is all you might get. And again, understanding how Pat trades too, it's like that's where the majority of the magic happens, is really on that first reaction. So all in all, pretty normal-ish day. Sometimes Mondays can be a little funky after things happen or transpire over the weekend, but I can't really think of any super big issues that really popped up, other than exercising a little bit of patience. That it seems like we've had to do that a little bit more over the past week or so, which is good. But all in all, I would say good day. Hopefully everyone else had a good day as well. Yeah, and we'll catch you here for the next one tomorrow. And yeah, if you're looking for high-level coaching mentoring, come see Pat Mitchell over at tricktrades.com. You can check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of good content over there. It's not the keys to the castle per se, but it's a good sampling of the information he presents. And if you want to learn more about, again, like the SizeUp program that I'm doing, that he developed, you can find a link down in the description for the webinar if you're interested. And all in all, hope everyone has a good one. See you tomorrow.